You ready?
Yep.
The following is the agenda for the regular meeting of the Borough of Pompton Lakes Mayor and Council, a municipal corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on September 22nd in the municipal building consistent with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting will be open for public comments. Public comments may be made at designated times during the meeting and may be submitted in writing to be read aloud during the meeting. Comments to be read at the meeting must be submitted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. By email or to the clerk's office at 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes, must be of a length that can reasonably be read within the time limit for public comment.
Okay, please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President DeLine.
I'm here.
Councilman Begg.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent.
Here.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Here.
Councilwoman Riker.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is David Rutenberg, our Borough Attorney, and Kevin Boyle, Borough Administrator.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We might have some issues with our air conditioning, so hang in there. We'll get you out of here quick enough. Unfortunately or fortunately, we have a dedication of a street sign to a dear friend and councilman, and I'm going to ask the family of Rick Steele to please step forward. You can just line up here. Somebody wants to hold the sign. Proclamation first. Okay. Whereas former Councilman Rick Steele was appointed as a member of the governing body October 13, 2004 to fill a vacant council seat, Rick filled the unexpired term through December 31st, 2005, and was re-elected for a 3-year term to council. Rick was successful with his bid for office for 3 additional 3-year terms, ending his time in 2014. Whereas Rick was confronted with challenging times and difficult decisions, Rick was committed to addressing contamination in the plume area and worked with the officials along with those who lived in the plume area. The borough has experienced the worst flooding, and Rick was there to listen to the concerns of the residents. Now, therefore, I, Michael Sarah, Mayor of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, do hereby proclaim Hilltop Court as Rick Steele Way on September 22nd, the day of September 21st. You know, Rick was a dear friend to all of us here. I know a lot of police officers know him well. I can tell you right now, Rick would hate this, that we're doing this. But, you know, it's a well-deserved honor. He put a lot of time and energy into this borough. You know, besides the 10 years working in the council, as you guys all know, he spent a lot of time on the ball fields, a lot of time coaching, from when the kids were young all the way up to when they got older. You know, he really cared about the community. And it was a sad day when we did lose him. And I'm honored to actually name the street after him. I'm glad it worked out for everybody. So thank you guys for coming.
I just want to say thank you, Mayor Sarah and the council for this. Dad has always been extremely proud of the work that he did in town, and you know, trying to make Pompton Lakes a little bit better. This really means a lot. Like Mike said, Dad wasn't big for big recognition, but I know that he's smiling down, and it just means a lot to the family, and I'm sure it's our dad. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next member who was with us before, who's really with Rick a lot, say a couple words if she'd like.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, being a council member or the mayor or anything is very hard. It's not that we're making $1 million to do these jobs. There's a lot of people yelling
and they had a lot of concerns. During our time together, when Rick was the council president and I was the mayor, we had, I believe, 7 declared disasters in Pompton Lakes. That's a lot for a small community during that, short period of time. Above and beyond the DuPont pool, those were declared disasters that we had to deal with. Although I'm technically a year older than Rick, I believe, Rick was like my big brother. He kept me grounded. There were times I wanted to fly off the deep end, or I wanted to give our sarcastic remarks or an answer or something, and he would just kind of give me a nudge, or he would do something to keep me grounded and keep us focused. When we made a promise to the community, when we were running for election, Rick made sure we kept all those promises. That was one of our prides, that when our terms were up, we were able to check off and say, yep, we kept our promise to Pompton Lakes, that we were able to do these things. Not everyone deserves this honor, I'll be honest with you, but Rick is somebody who does. He wasn't a political guy, he hated politics, he just wanted to do what was right for the community. We started telling people, we're not Democrats or Republicans, we're Cardinals, and that's what we all had to stick together. I know I drove him crazy many times. There were times he drove me crazy, but I'm sure my driving him crazy was more. But he was a hard worker who didn't stand up there for the lawyer or anything else. He was just somebody who wanted to do right for the residents of Pompton Lakes and the community. And this is the perfect honor for him. I'm sorry it's under these conditions, but you know what? He really, really deserves this. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
And I think Mayor Cole hit it on the head. At the end of the day, he cared about the community. And we don't bestow this honor on everybody. This is something that we have to spend a lot of time and energy and decide on who's going to get it and not. And this is someone who does deserve to get the award. So thank you for the family for reaching out. And, I hope it helps in a little way to see his name on the street there. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our police awards. Chief, you want to come up?
Well, tonight we have the honor to pay recognition to some of the hard work that our officers have done. Some of these awards are a little bit in the past due to COVID and not having in-person council meetings. We wanted to wait for present these awards in person. We just feel that it's a better feel and better touch to meet more of the officers than we do in person over a Zoom meeting. But we have some officers that did some outstanding work over the past year and a half, 2 years. The first 3 officers we would like to recommend on April 4th of 2020, Sergeant Steve Capati, Patrolman John LaGreco, and Patrolman Ed Lizaku. On that particular day, gentlemen, you can come forward. Yeah. On April 4th of that day, these officers responded to a medical call and performed CPR on Mr. Samuel Terpune. They were fortunate enough to bring him back, and he is still with us today. And he is kind enough to grace us with his presence tonight. But it's one of the greatest honors we can bestow upon our officers is to save the life of another. And we're proud of their work on that particular day.
I can answer that. I did get a call from the family when it happened, obviously after it happened, and they were so thankful that these 3 officers showed up and did their job the way they were supposed to do it. They saved a life. That's a big deal here in Pompton Lakes. You're always hearing bad things about what's going on. This is a good thing. They saved a life. So let's give them a hand for that.
All right, the next officer we'd like to recognize is Patrolman Alex Collins. Patrolman Collins, can you come up, please? On November 11th of 2020, Patrolman Collins performed a motor vehicle stop where he detected a strong odor of narcotics in the vehicle. As a resulting of the search for the illegal drugs, he discovered a gun within the car and burglary tools. Because of his hard work, it was determined that the suspect was using a stolen car and had stolen 4 additional cars the night prior in New York. The awards committee is giving him the Honorable Service Award. And finally, we'd like to call up Sergeant Brian Zimmerman and Patrolman Kyle Stefanik. On December 28th of 2020, Sergeant Brian Zimmerman and Patrolman Kyle Stefanik conducted a motor vehicle stop. During the stop, Patrolman Stefanik learned the driver was suspended and the vehicle was unregistered and uninsured. After both officers detected a strong odor of marijuana, the subsequent search of the vehicle resulted in the confiscation of an illegal Titan 25 caliber handgun. They both received the Honorable Service Award for their hard work. Why don't we get a picture of everyone?
You guys gotta move, because you're much stronger than me. I ain't going for you. I gotta stand there and call Scott.
Oh, wait, open it? Did you get everyone in?
Yeah, open them. Yeah, sure, why not?
Gentlemen, thank you for your hard work and your dedication.
I said it before and I'll say it again, we have one of the best police departments in Passaic County, and let's just remember in these trying times right now what police are going through on a daily basis. So to go out and do their job every day, I'm thanking you all for our citizens here in town, so I thank you. At that, I'll let everybody who wants to leave get out, who wants to stay can stay.
Wait, what?
But Steve, you can stay and look at stage till you see me. All right, so he runs out. See, that didn't work. Okay, let's move on with business. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
Motion.
Councilwoman Palladori, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Just give it 1 second, let everybody get out, and then we'll do what we gotta do. Okay, does anybody from the public like to address? Just step up. Yeah, you can come up right up to the podium here. Just give your name and address. Try to keep it to 5 minutes.
Okay. Doreen Fraga.
You want to close it? I know we can't close the door, but...
All right.
Okay.
She's got
Might
to
have
talk into
a
the
little
mic.
loud, right?
Okay.
Can we pull the mic down?
Doreen Fraga, Saddlebrook, New Jersey.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Could you just close that door for 2 minutes? I know I'll get
I don't
yelled at,
think-
but...
Is that
Microphone work? I don't know if the microphone's working. It's not coming in.
Well, maybe that's why I couldn't hear you.
Just, let's see.
Hello?
So why don't you just take a right to this,
Okay.
to the, there. I can hear you from there. That's perfect,
Okay.
yes.
I'm Doreen Fraga, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I'm with Animal Protection League of New Jersey, and we're going to the different towns throughout the state and counties, and we're offering non-lethal geese solutions. So we're not sure if you have any problems in Pompton Lakes, but I have a whole folder on all non-lethal ways to deter the geese out of the area and, just control the population non-lethally.
All right, thank you. I'll let you drop that off with the clerk. But before you do that, we were one of the first communities that adult eggs here in Pompton Lakes. We've been doing it probably now 10 years. And by doing that, we're all trained. We went to the classes. People that are on that board, a couple of them are in the audience here. We have seen a reduction in our geese because of doing that. Now, I know some people don't like to hear that because it is addling the eggs. But at the end of the day, we had a very serious problem with one gentleman who got a very bad infection in his leg, almost died from it. So we made a move, and it did make a difference. And I believe it made a difference. I don't know what we have a gentleman here. I think it helped, don't you think?
Yeah.
So that's how we've been handling it right now, but we'll be more than happy to take a look at what you got there.
Yeah, and if you don't have any questions, I have my card here.
Okay.
We're available for a presentation, we're available for a Zoom call.
Sure.
Whatever you need, we have like a whole toolbox of all different kind of non-lethal methods to help you with the geese.
Okay.
And, we want to do it humanely and safely, and we want to get them back up in the flyway, and we want to get them out of, we don't want them to become resident geese, which does happen because of feeding. People feed them, and, then the geese stay, and, we don't want that. And I know other towns have instituted ordinances and fines so that people will not feed.
We have those ordinances, actually. Yes. Very hard to enforce, but we have them.
I know, it's so hard, but I'm just glad that you're not doing any lethal killing.
No.
Because I know, in the past, some towns have hired the USDA to do that, and it's a horrific thing that happens to the geese. I happened to witness one of the killings, and it's something that I will never ever forget.
I mean, and I happen to be one of the handlers of the eggs also, and, we'll find nests of 6 to 8 eggs. So, if you multiply that out by how many offspring they would have, it's huge numbers that it ends up affecting after a while.
What's your population like now?
I'd say it's half of what we had. At one point, you couldn't go anywhere. Now we have other problems. What we have, it's probably half of what we had. Okay, so if you drop that with the clerk, though, she'll pass it out to us.
I will, and we also have information on deer. If you ever need anything about the deer,
We have no deer in this town.
I want to talk to you.
With the clerk right there. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else from the public? Please step up.
Is the microphone working?
I can hear you.
We can
I can
hear
hear
you.
you. Yes.
Okay. Helene Zablocki, 6 Butler Street. This past Memorial Day weekend, I was driving through Wayne and I saw, this is already not to see people, I saw flags along Valley Road interspersed with military banners. It was really beautiful. So I called Wayne, and the person in charge of them is the director of the Parks and Rec. And he was very helpful giving me information about how to obtain these military banners. And then a few weeks later, I was going through Wyckoff and I saw the same ones. So I called them, and they also were equally helpful. They gave me names, resources, documentation of what they use. And Wyckoff has been doing it for a year. Wayne said they started 2 years ago. And I think our town, particularly having a small town with a center of town, would be perfect for this. So I would respectfully request that an ad hoc committee be set up to look into this. I think the information I have would really expedite the whole process of having a committee. And I would also respectfully request to be on that committee. So that's why I'm here tonight.
All right, so thank you for the information. I think, and I'd have to double check, but I think the bid was looking into this already to put on our poles downtown of the same situations with flags and things. But I'll double check that. I'm not 100% sure. If we put an ad hoc committee, I will definitely add you to that committee. And if you have anything you want to drop off to Liz, give it to her. Do you have anything that we can read or not?
Yeah, you couldn't interpret my notes.
Okay.
But I could get them together and have them ready.
Yeah, if you want to put it in an email maybe and send it over to Liz, and then we'll just get it out and we'll talk about it. I mean, it's a great idea, and I've seen it. I know what you're talking about. I've actually talked to the mayor of Wayne. He had it in the front there in front of the municipal building. And I asked him, were they all people out of the town? And he said yes, over the years. Now, we don't have the numbers that Wayne does, obviously,
Right.
to have that. So I think when we do a memorial this ceremony, I think it's 13, if I'm correct, past soldiers in all the wars. We could definitely do it for those 13, I would assume.
And the other thing is that if, if the town decides they want to do that, there's also a possibility for people to purchase their own for living military people as well. And if you're interested, as of last week, Wyckoff still had theirs up, not in the main center of town, but in the parking lot in front of their borough hall. So you can go by and take a look. Theirs are slightly different from what I remember Wayne's being, but it really would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I just had a question on Resolution 21228, DuPont Place Bridge.
Yep.
We went by there and I met the engineers from Advantage Engineering Associates. So I just had a curious question on it.
All right, I can answer that now just because you're bringing it up. We know there's some issues with that bridge. We had an engineer firm out there to check out the bridge, and the engineer has said that the last hole that appeared does need to be repaired. We had gotten a price to repair that. But saying all that, just today we got some information that maybe Kevin, if you want to bring it up or not bring it up yet.
No, that's correct. Well, as the mayor said, we had Ferraro Engineering went and looked at the bridge, I guess, end of August. There was another hole over there. We're going to do a minor repair. This resolution approves a minor repair by Garcia Construction to do that. But I had a conversation today with the county administrator. He and I and the former engineer, now current engineer, had a discussion about the bridge. Joe Ragno was still with us. He did a search, county did a search. Nobody could find out who technically owned the bridge. Who did DuPont the bridge? Yes, DuPont, of course, they said they owned the bridge. So, as you know, we always supposed to work for the bridge for God knows how long. Well, Tony and I talked today, and the county's willing to work with us on replacing the bridge. And the idea would be the borough of Pompton Lakes would provide the design of the bridge. Roughly, by his engineers, that's $200,000. The county would then build the bridge, a new bridge, and take possession of the bridge for future ownership, because most counties own bridges. And that'll probably be about $900,000. So the whole project is $1.1 million. The county is in a better position to get some DOT funding for bridge replacement. So I was going to the council tonight. I think that's probably a good deal for the borough. About $200,000 to do a design of the county build the bridge.
So we haven't actually discussed it as a council yet, because that's new information. But the part that you saw was the actual repair that we're putting in place, because the engineer thought we needed to fix that one spot right now.
That was the Advantage Engineering Associates?
No, that firm was hired by the DOT. The DOT did that review and provided that to the county, which I'm getting a copy from the administrator. That's actually a DOT company. Of all county bridges, they thought it was a county bridge. Surprise!
Because there is one sign, a weight limit sign. I mean, residents and people that I talk to are concerned about fire trucks going over there in an emergency.
That's why we had
A lot of
engineers
steel trucks go over that, and
That's why we had engineers look at it, and they said it was okay for traffic.
it's okay for fire trucks to go across there? Or?
On a one-time, two-time basis, it's fine. Everyday traffic, probably not. But emergency vehicles, no problem.
Okay. Just curious on that. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilwoman Palladori, Council President DeWine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes of September 1st. Have a motion?
So moved.
Councilwoman Palladori, need a second? Hold on. Oh, we can still do a second. Second?
I second.
Oh, Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims as listed below. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Council President DeWine? Second. All in favor? Against?
Hello.
You back, Karen?
Okay. Thank you for calling back. We got disconnected.
Okay, consent agenda. Does anybody need anything removed? Seeing no one, can I have, whenever you're ready, Liz?
Okay, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to move resolution for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 21-223 through 21-233.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions?
So moved.
Motion, Riker.
Council President Devine, Councilwoman Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, ordinance, we have none. Wow, look at that.
None.
That is a nice day. Okay. Under my report, we'll start with just today. I had a bunch of meetings today, one of them being for the Katy Cole Park that's down in the south end. A bunch of concerned residents got together and had some ideas on how to make things better there. We have a gentleman who's from town, who's been here a long time, who's willing to donate all the plantings. So I think between all that, we will be seeing improvements there. I think some of the things that we decided on were to remove the stone and put grass down, so it's just a grass area. Some new tree plantings, some new perennials, some nice planters coming in on Dawes Highway and in the park. So I thank all the people on this committee, this ad hoc committee that got together. You know, it was a bunch of concerned citizens who didn't like how it looked. They got together and made it better. So that's what we like to see in Pompton Lakes. I also had a meeting today about our COA. For anybody who doesn't know, our COA has been ongoing for years and years and years. We've worked out another deal, hopefully today, that should be good. My question was, COA is about to end. It's a 10-year cycle. We're almost up to the 10th year of that cycle. Is it worth even going through all the aggravation to just redo it again? And they said, no, we should, because it gets us a place in line when we start again. So we are going to move forward. There's been, and the way I read them today, it seemed like that we were ahead of the curve on most towns on this. So it was a long meeting, but we seem to make a little progress every little step we can go, but it takes some time. I also had an ordinance committee, which I think Councilwoman Paldori or Councilwoman Riker will bring up about something there. Real quick, let me see what else I had here. Okay, and that is my report. Council President Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to take a moment again to, recognize the designation as Rick Steele Way. I served on the council for a very short period of time, but I did learn a lot from him back in 2010. And one of the key things was, and I think the mayor touched upon it, Rick Steele really was about doing the work of the council and not just being on the council. So he didn't need the recognition, he didn't need the accolades. He really was interested in doing good work while I was on the council, and that's something I've always taken to heart. And so, if anybody deserves a sign from the council, it certainly was Rick Steele. So, unfortunate circumstances, but I do want to, it'll bring some, at least some joy to my heart when I pass by this sign on a consistent basis. Wanted to take a moment to recognize the police officers that were given awards. I mean, that's why I continue to believe that we have one of the best police forces in the state of New Jersey. I mean, they work hard. No job is too small for them. They find different ways to help our community and protect our community. So those awards were well deserved. It seems like it was a long time ago, because I guess it kind of was, but I thought Pompton Day was excellent. Having, taken the year off, I guess, from 2020, not being able to do it. Recreation picked up right where they were from 2019. So I want to recognize Karen Murphy, the Recreation Commission, Councilwoman Kent, who's the liaison to the Recreation Commission, everybody that made it happen, our police officers, our DPW. It takes a lot of work to get that day together, and with a lot of uncertainty with what's going on, the fact that they continued on, and it was a day enjoyed by a lot of people. I was able to participate in the Pompton Lakes Pompton Day 5K, and again, another well-run event. There was even more people than last year. We actually had it last year in person, but this year it was great to see so many more runners this time around. Wanted to thank our emergency services for the response on Hurricane Ida, our CERT team. Interesting enough, CERT was there to help open up the center, and that was the next day, and fortunately we only had a couple families. So I mean, it's important to note how much improvement we've made through those buyouts, through the river cleaning, all that stuff. That really did make a difference, because I know in the community I work in the surrounding communities, they got hit hard. It was hard to avoid what Hurricane Ida was in terms of the intensity of the rain, how fast it came, how it overwhelmed our storm sewer systems, everything like that. And you know, we didn't avoid the brunt of it. We didn't come out unscathed, but considering where we were, you know, back from previous storms, I mean, it was a huge improvement. And again, our emergency services team was there to respond to everything that happened. So we want to recognize and thank all of them. But to that point, the next day, CERT a few weeks ago had actually asked me if I was interested in helping out at the vaccination clinic at St. Mary's. And I agreed. I wanted to see how it worked. I wanted to, you know, continue to see it. And so they had it for 3 to 6. So a bunch of CERT members who had been helping out at Hurricane Ida were there at St. Mary's, you know, helping to run the vaccination clinic. And it seemed like maybe I was the bad luck penny, because every time I left, one time I came over across the way to grab some masks. They were running short of available masks. People showed up, and then I left at the end, and people showed up at the last minute. So I'm not going to show up to any more vaccine clinics to work, but I did want to recognize that, you know, the drive to get people vaccinated has not stopped, and our CERT team is really there working hard to help assist our public health officers to encourage people to do it, and the people that do want to do it, to help them through that process. I want to take a moment to again thank Liz and the community for coming out and doing the September 11th ceremony. It's been 20 years. You know, again, you know, just to continue to have this after 20 years, and the fact that we really do show up and recognize that, and don't forget the importance of that moment, even while some of our initial missions related to that have now ended. It means the world. Let's see. I wanted to, you know, recognize Councilman Bannon, who did the 9/11 Promise Run. Hopefully he'll mention a little bit more. Someday maybe he will run from New York City to DC or whatever the route is, but we'll appreciate him running through Pompton Lakes nonetheless. And then finally, fall sports has began. Want to thank DPW for getting the fields ready. All the sports teams that have kids that are active and engaged, and again, a thing that we missed last fall, and we're back to doing it, which is nice to see. And I wanted to wish Councilwoman Polidori, who's a coach, luck this year. I don't know if you're going to finish undefeated, but maybe.
We won our first game.
See, there you go. You got one down, and hopefully strive for the championship. And that concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was the thing I forgot to mention, was the Pompton. That's what I was searching for. I gotta go back a minute and thank everybody involved, like Council President just thanked everyone. You know, Pompton Day takes a lot of time and energy to put together. It's all volunteers. We spend a lot of time doing it. When I talk to the vendors there, the vendors who go to these events all the time always tell me that Pompton Day is one of the best events thrown. It's just organized well. A lot of people show up. We usually have good weather, and they're very excited always to come to Pompton Day. You know, I always see Pompton Day as the time to go talk to your neighbors. You know, yes, we get people from out of town, but you know, it's very hard for someone who's from Pompton more than a year to walk down the street and not start talking to somebody else that they see walking down the street. That's what that festival is about. It's about getting people involved. I see all the clubs, all the committees, everybody out there doing their thing. Karen Murphy has been doing this for over 20 years. She's got it down to an art. All her people that help her are good people and put a lot of time and energy into it. And an example of that is we're trying to think outside the box, written new things. This year we had professional wrestlers come in. They were on the field. It was a big hit. The kids loved it. They got autographs. They were taking pictures with the belt. You know, they thought it was the most exciting thing in the world. That's something I would have never thought to bring to Pompton Day. So that's the kind of ideas we're always looking for in Pompton Day. It's not too early. If you want to get on the committee, we're always looking for help. You can contact myself, Councilwoman Kent, or Karen Murphy to help. We really rev up and starting in August. There's not much going on till then, but we can always use the help. And of course, all our organizations, police, fire, CERT, first aid, we're all there to support us, and they're always all there. And the one comment I did hear from a lot of people this year, different from much, it was nice to see police officers every block standing there, kind of overseeing what was going on. And of course, maybe I'm partial, but I thought our fireworks were the best. I've seen a lot of fireworks this summer. They were by far the best fireworks I saw all summer. And so, again, kudos to everybody there. Councilman Begg.
Thank you. I'd just like to say Rick Steele was a great loss for the town. He was a great neighbor and friend, sorely missed. that school I can say about it. He was very well involved in the community. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of August 2021 from Chief Derek Clark. There were 2,032 calls for service for the month of August. There were 516 motor vehicle stops, 301 summonses issued, no DWI arrests, 13 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 48 ambulance requests, 20 alarm conditions burglary, 9 alarm conditions fire, no burglaries, 4 thefts, no sexual assaults, no aggravated assaults. 12 domestic violence calls investigated. The Detective Bureau investigated 7 complaints, conducted 8 background checks for firearms permits, completed 4 raffle applications, and completed 7 main checks for background for the police department and military. CERT Supervisor Deborah Ross reports that CERT team had a total of 53 volunteer hours for the month of August 2021. I received the Pompton Lakes Fire Department report from Fire Prevention Chief John Keating. He reports there were 18 calls for the month of August 2021 and a total of 210 calls so far this year. I attended the Pompton Lakes Board of Education meeting on September 14, 2021. The back to school night for each of the schools is as follows. Lennox School, September 22nd. Lincoln School, September 23rd. Pompton Lakes High School, September 29th. Lakeside School, September 30th. The board approved the leave of absence for Patricia Hollenstein, administrative assistant at Pompton Lakes High School, starting September 13th, 2021. The high school football team has been very successful. Their first game, they won 40-0 against Butler. And last week they won 27-7 against New Milford. And that's my report.
Yeah, those are 2 good wins. You bring up the fact that I didn't do a COVID report. I will be doing one in 2 weeks in October, but just to give some ideas of what's going on for the public. You know, we do have children still getting positive and adults that are unvaccinated, but our numbers, I think the last 10 days was, I think, 24 cases. A lot of those are children who can't get vaccinated. What I'm going to ask people who are listening online, if your child does get the virus and he gets through it and seems healthy, please do not send him to sports or to school until a doctor clears him to go in, because he becomes a spreader at that point. No matter if it's 8 days later, we have to follow those rules. I don't want to see, like Council President DeWine just mentioned, all our sports are open. We are having some issues in some of our sports groups right now with kids getting the virus. So we have to follow the rules. I know they're itching to go back and play or go back to school, but at the end of the day, we have to follow the rules and keep them out until the doctor says they can go back. Okay, Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Although I was on vacation, I did attend meetings via the telephone. So I'll give you an update. I did attend the Board of Health meeting, and we were also given updates on the COVID-19 issues and about the schools, and our health officer is really wonderful, and she keeps us up to date on that. And I also want to thank our health officer and her staff for all the food vendor licenses that they had to review for Pompton Day. This town makes sure that everybody ate healthy, and everyone was licensed, and they did file, and everything went well, so I was happy to hear that. I attended the Pompton Day committee review. We went over what went well and what we can do better next year. So if anybody has a recommendation, good or bad, we'll listen to it, and we'll try to even make it, it's a great success, and we'll even make it better. I also attended the Environmental Protection Committee meeting, and we will be attending the Lakeside Back to School Night, and we're going to provide information to the parents on recycling and environmental programs that are provided through the town. I want to personally thank all the police officers that were here tonight for receiving the accommodations and the acknowledgements for their outstanding service that if they're called to duty, it's over and above, I think, what so many others are doing these days. So there are a few of those officers that were on my soccer teams, baseball teams, and it's amazing how it's just a wonderful community. It's so wonderful to see how they've, progressed into, wonderful young men. So I want to thank them. I want to thank the Pompton Lakes Women's Club, the Environmental Committee, specifically Christiane Jennings, her husband Keith, her son Carl, and our Women's Club member Carmela Fusaro for the beautiful autumn display at the Triangle Monument Memorial on Hamburg Turnpike and Wanacue Avenue. Again, all volunteers. I want to, because I was I'm the liaison to the Recreation Commission and the Pompton Day Committee. I really want to say a special thank you to the committee members for an amazing Pompton Day event. Although at 6:30 in the morning it was kind of rainy, by 10 o'clock it was raining a little bit. It did not rain on anybody's attitude or feeling for coming out and celebrating. What a wonderful turnout. I want to give a special thank and shout out to the following individuals who really went above and beyond volunteerism. Of course, our Recreation Commissioner and Pompton Day Chairwoman, Karen Murphy, the registrar, brand new registrar, Steve Begg, who even after some mix-ups and confusion, never failed to smile, shake his head, and say, "We will work it out," and he did. And it was very important to have that kind of attitude and response, and everything worked out fine, and he was a huge success. So thank you, Steve. We also had the vendor coordinator, Michael Shacatano, who went around and made sure that all the street vendors had the proper locations and that they had the proper forms. He also made sure that the pledge, take the pledge for keeping our environment clean here in Pompton Lakes was signed, and I received, I think, 65 back from all the vendors that we could get them back for. I'll be submitting them to Liz tonight for our CRS program. So thank you, Michael. And then we had our street coordinators, because we were there early. We had Bernadette Chamilli, Bob McCluska, Jeff Buff, and the 5K run coordinator, Laura Jennings, fishing derby coordinator, Mike Cortese, and Dana Cleary, Barbara Murphy, for the coordination of all the activities. And then all our local volunteers and our sports group, including PLRSA, which is soccer, PLRLL, which is Little League, PAL, which is our basketball group, and PLRRO, which is lacrosse and football and everything else that is not covered. So we also want to thank the BID, because they also were sponsors, and they also had a really nice tent. And the DPW for all the preparation and to prepare all the Lakeside Park and the cleanup of the streets. I heard our streets were immaculate the day after, including all of that debris from, I guess, the fireworks. It all worked out nice. A huge thank you to all the vendors and all the sponsors of the event. And Karen, I have a report on that. Okay, just so you know, Mayor, you mentioned the Lakeside Avenue Waterfront project. We have now 5 new kayaks, 2 new paddle boats, and the Rec Commission is opening it up on Wednesday evenings and on the weekends to rent these paddle boats and kayaks for $10 an hour. It's a wonderful way to get the family out as long as the weather's allows and it's enough light. I want to I thank Mrs. Zablocki for her recommendation. I think we should follow up on her recommendation. I think it's very good, and I support that. When you talk about Rick Steele, it's very personal. He was one of my first neighbors. His family was one of my first friends when I moved to Pompton Lakes. Our children were baptized together. That holds a special place. He was a friend. He was a neighbor. He was a councilman that ran with my husband on 3 different terms. And he was a leader. He was quiet. He was slender. He wasn't a big mouth. And when Rick spoke, everyone listened. And he was truly the man of steel, and that's what we referred to him, and I still think of him that way. He's now in heaven, he's with the angels, but I'm sure he's still looking down here on us, making sure that we take care of our flood areas, our contaminated areas, and just the betterment of our community. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up, I was also at the Health Department meeting, I forgot to mention, we will be offering a third dose here at Pompton Lakes of the Pfizer vaccine right now, because that's all that's been okayed so far. We are ready to go. We will be offering it here probably on Mondays. More information will follow. Keep an eye out for that. You can always make an appointment probably after starting next week to go down to Wayne if you'd like to get the third shot of Pfizer only. The third shot at any time, they'll give you a shot. You know, we do a shared service with Wayne and Pompton Lakes, so we share our services for the nurse, and right now they're already giving shots. You do at this point have to fit, depending on what they announce tonight. There was supposed to be an announcement tonight of how it's going to work, but right now you do have a compromised system of some sort to get the third shot. So if anybody's interested, you can always reach out to here Borough Hall or call over to the Health Department in Wayne and tell them you're a Pompton Lakes resident. Okay, Councilwoman Palladori.
Thank you, Mayor. I did not personally know Rick Steele, but it does make me very happy to sit up here and be part of a council that bestowed such an honor to a man that is clearly very highly regarded by his community. So I want to thank everyone for allowing that. I also want to thank the Pompton Day Committee. It was great again this year, as always. I know how much work goes into that. I assisted in the way that Maria did last year, so I had the opportunity to see firsthand just how hard everybody works to make it a success, and it certainly was. The weather held out, it didn't dampen anyone's spirits, and everyone had a great time. And being from here as long as I have been, I know that that's a long-held tradition in this community, so it's not only residents that live here now that come, but residents that grew up here, that have moved away, that wait all year to come back for that event. So I get to see a lot of people that I went to school with that come back just for Pompton Day. So it's an amazing event. I do want to thank everyone in our town that worked so hard to prepare us for storms such as Ida and make sure that we stay safe. I did grow up going through some floods here, so I know how devastating that can be. So I appreciate all the hard work that goes into that as well. Thank you to everyone that made the 9/11 ceremony possible. It is always probably one of my favorite community gatherings that we do. We have representatives from every group that comes here to remember that tragic event, and amongst those groups are the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and every year I can't help but think to myself that, you know, they're up there with the most important guests that we have. Every adult that is there remembers exactly where they were standing on that morning, but the kids don't, and the only reason they are aware of it and the only reason that they understand how impactful that was on our society is because we continue to hold events like that and we continue to teach them, and that is important. When my children were in Scouts, they participated, so I like that we have this continued tradition and that it is part of our community. So thank you for everyone that makes that possible. I want to congratulate all the officers that received awards tonight. I also agree with the mayor. We have one of the best police departments. I'm very proud of them, and all of those awards were well deserved. A few announcements. From the Prevention Coalition, the monthly meeting normally held on, would be tomorrow night for 7 p.m. has been moved to 4:30 to accommodate for the high school back to school night.
But hold on, let's going to jump in there for a second. We need to coordinate that because I don't know if the bid knows that, and they're having their meeting at 4 o'clock.
Okay, I will let Ashley know. Is that something that can be moved to another area in the office? Is it?
We can
depending-
probably move it over here, the coalition, I'll check
Yeah,
the
well, it's
schedule.
probably if we move it's easier to move the coalition than it is the
Into
bid
here?
because people come from other.
Yeah, I'll.
You want to
I'll-
let Ashley know?
Yes, I will
Okay.
check that tomorrow.
All right, so
What time would
her note to me was that it was moved to 4:30, and
Yes.
that is because it conflicts with high school back to school.
all right, so Liz, if you want to reach out and just let her know 4:30 here. And we'll tell people if they, because I'll be at the bid meeting, I'll let
Okay.
people know if they come in to come over here for that.
Okay. Also from the MUA, fall hydrant flushing is scheduled for October 18th, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. It is done at that time so that it causes the least amount of disturbance in your service. You may notice a slight discoloration and change in water pressure. It is completely normal, do not worry. and a clarification from the MUA. So I know there's been some discussion back and forth regarding the 2 car washes and the wells. I was told to just make note of some clarification. There are only 2 well permits that were pulled in Pompton Lakes. Both of them are for the car washes. The new car wash drilled to what they believe was approximately 1,000 feet. I don't know anything about water depth, but they did not find water, so they will not be utilizing well water at that location. They will be 100% municipal water and sewer. There was, because of this, some research done on the other permit that was pulled in town, which is the only other car wash. They are using their well water, but they were not, because the MUA was not aware, the DEP is not required to notify the municipalities that permits have been pulled. So they were not aware that there was a well being utilized on that site, so they were not being metered for the water removal, so they were not paying the MUA for sewer. That is being remedied, so now that will also be an additional source of revenue for the MUA, and it will be checked and monitored. So that was the positive that came out of that. We were able to be brought aware of a situation that had not been, the MUA had not been aware of. So, and you know, if you have any other questions, I can certainly relay them to the MUA, but that's like...
Let me just add to that, because the question I've been getting a lot. It's a DEP permit to put a well in. It's not a town permit.
Right.
So they have to go to the DEP. We have no say if they get a permit or they don't get a permit. The DEP will decide if they get a permit or not. So I heard a lot of noise about people that the new car wash was putting it in, how are we letting them do that? We have no say on them putting in that permit. If the DEP said it was okay, and I find it strange, there's a river right behind them that they didn't get water, but okay.
John Wegley informed me that it's not common, but it does happen.
Okay.
So they drilled
okay.
farther than the existing car wash did, and they were not able to find water. But I think the takeaway here is that we are now charging the old car wash for their sewer service.
Which I'm sure he's very happy
sewer
about.
Service. So that's my knowledge of the MUA. If you have any other questions, I can certainly go back and get more information for you. School events are back in gear. We have all sports taking place and back to school nights. It's very exciting. I'm not only a soccer coach, but also on the PTA for Lakeside, so I'm participating in all of these. And I can honestly tell you, it is truly a joy to see the children back at it, doing the things that make them happy, back in school, parents getting together at back to school nights, the first for a lot of these events since March of 2020. So we will, PTA will have a table at back to school night, and I am very happy that Councilwoman Kent will be joining us as well. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. I will throw in, I was very excited about Pompton Day because they gave me a cart with lights on it.
I actually have something else to add.
So I was very excited. Yes.
I'm not done. My open space note, and I'm going to relay this to you for further discussion, but we do have an ordinance that we are in the process of revising for its final issue to be, I guess, introduced at the next council meeting?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so we are creating an ordinance where the Trails Maintenance Committee, which has operated as a subcommittee, will now operate as a standalone committee off of open space. And if you want to share some of it, did I cover it?
You covered it.
All right, so I'll jump in. Yeah, so there was some discussion brought to us. The Trails Maintenance Group does a lot of work. They spend a lot of time taking care of our trails on their own. The deal that was made when they initially wanted to put trails in town, at least with me, was that I'll allow it, we'll put trails in, it will be helpful, but the DPW will not be responsible for taking care of the trails. It's just too much time and energy to do that. So they took it upon themselves to do all the maintenance on these trails, and they are out there 3-4 times a year doing all this work. That being recognized as a group, they were a subcommittee for a very long time. We can't keep subcommittees ad hoc forever, so we either had to get rid of the group as a sub hoc or make it a full-fledged liaison committee group in town. The committee has decided to do that. We will, as Councilwoman Polidori said, we'll get some more information, we'll put it in an actual resolution, and then we will vote on it for the next meeting. So if anybody has any questions about it, you can ask now, is a good time. Okay, so we'll put that together for our next meeting. Okay. Anything else?
No, now I really am done.
Okay. Councilwoman Riker.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I first want to start by acknowledging the awards to the policemen, just because I wasn't there to share in the excitement. They are very well-deserved awards, and I want to congratulate them. As to the dedication of the street for Rick Steele, Rick was very much a mentor and a dear friend. He was also a neighbor. He really was known for his soft-spoken, quiet way about him. And I think Mayor Cole summed it up quite well. He was the person that often kept her in check and other members of the council in check. And he kept us all very well grounded, and it is a very well-deserved honor. And I will be passing it every day as I come and go from my home. I want to give a special shout out to Councilman Bill Begg as chair of the Finance Committee. This is the meeting that we have invoices to review and bills to sign due to vacation of some of our employees. The bills were quite delayed, and Bill stepped up and was flexible and jumped in and really came to the rescue and signed them very promptly, and I want to give him a thank you for that. We have had some further apropos of more doing from the Finance Committee. We've had some further discussions with liaisons and other members of the council. I feel we are moving in the right direction in terms of the groups that were cited at the last meeting, to make sure if they're going to expend money, they will do it properly with Kevin, with purchase orders, and not be laying out money and coming back and asking for reimbursements. Because when we do that, we end up having problems. There are things that they spend money on that it will not be approved. They end up paying tax that the municipality does not reimburse. So we are trying very hard, and those of you who are liaisons to different groups, please make sure your groups understand they need to do things through purchase orders through Kevin. And don't just lay out the money and say, will you just reimburse me? Because that has created all sorts of problems in the past. The trail maintenance ordinance, Councilwoman Polidori discussed. We met via Zoom. Special shout out to Councilman Venon for working so hard to giving the group a very good draft to go by, and there'll be more on that next month. Finance is combined with personnel, and as you might have seen in your packets tonight, we acknowledge that our structure in terms of fire inspections is changing. We no longer, Al Bruno has retired, and Kevin and others have worked with the fire department to come up with a structure so that we have seamless fire inspection in the community, especially as people are doing more improvements in their homes and we have redevelopment in the town. So that I think will work out very well. I am pleased to say that I have visited the Lidl supermarket on numerous occasions since our last meeting and that day that we had the ribbon cutting. It seems to be busy. It seems to be well received, and I encourage everyone in the community to continue to support it, because I think it's just a win-win for everybody. So I'm thrilled that the supermarket is here. Just in terms of a few little events that hadn't been acknowledged by some of the previous council people, we do have the townwide garage sale this Saturday, rain date Sunday, and if you don't wish to do your own individual garage sale, the library has a program where you can set up and sell on the library lawn. In addition, there was talk of Pfizer boosters coming. The nurse has started giving flu vaccines. They're available by appointment only, but she is here next Monday, and then she has some extended hours in October where she's here later on Monday through early evening. So if you're interested in getting your flu vaccine through the borough, that currently is going on, and you just reach out to Borough Hall to set up an appointment. It's extension 235. And Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you. I did have a meeting with Lytle today about something else, and they did give me good news, and that corporate is very excited to announce that they are ahead of their numbers already, and it's only been a short time. They're excited to see the community really responded to coming to the supermarket, and it's beating their expectations of what they expected in the first 2 months. So it just tells you that we needed a supermarket here in town and people are shopping. Probably the $10 coupons don't hurt either, but I'm guessing. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. This is my first meeting since the pictures of the mayors have been put up on the walls. I want to thank all involved. I know Liz was involved, Sharon Sunny, and there's a couple other folks that were involved in getting these pictures of all the mayors through the years up on the walls. I know the folks at home may not be able to see it, but if you happen to stop in Borough Hall and get a chance to take a look, it turned out really nice. I want to thank the Ordinance Committee for reviewing and moving the ordinance that's proposed forward with any revisions required. The trails maintenance has been near and dear to a couple people up here. Our Council President DeLine, I know, has been very involved. My family has been very involved. There's a whole bunch of folks, friends and whatnot in town that help keep the trails usable. I want to congratulate the officers on their awards this evening. They're very well deserved. I will echo everybody else's comments that we do have a great police department, and I believe it's also because we fill those spots with folks that care, and that goes with just about everything else that we do here in Pompton Lakes. Pompton Day is put together by volunteers who care about a community. I know other towns, they pay a vendor to run their street fairs, and whatever works for them, but for us it makes it that much more special, I believe, and as the mayor and other council members have mentioned. The 9/11 Promise Run, Council President DeLine mentioned. In 2019, I participated as a driver, and the run itself goes from the Pentagon Memorial in Washington, D.C., and goes over 3 days, and we wind up at Ground Zero at the Memorial in New York City at the end of the third day. In 2019, as I mentioned, I participated as a driver, but I did end up running about 3 miles each day. The last 3 miles is usually from a meeting point to the firehouse where we end up spending the evening. And while we're doing it to keep the memory of 9/11 alive and to honor the first responders, I find it humbling that they end up treating us like rock stars as we're running to the Trenton Firehouse, to the firehouse in Elkton, Maryland, to the firehouse in Philadelphia. And the last part of the run, which is from the 43rd Street ferry terminal, Midtown, down to the Memorial, about 3.5 miles. That's like we finish the run. For some people it's 3 days, and we kind of just, that's it. We take a group picture, and we're not celebrating anything because it's not for that. It's to remember and to keep that memory alive. So I thank the folks at the 911promise.org. Jen DePoto, she's been running this for about 5 years. UPS is one of the corporate sponsors. That's how I became involved. The last 2 years, there was a virtual run, which is you're tasked with running 9.11 miles over 3 days or all in one day. Last year and this year, I ran through Pompton Lakes on day 1, Riverdale on day 2, and then New York City on day 3. It's a fundraiser. The most important part, it's a fundraiser that raises money for scholarships to families of fallen service members, as well as first responders. Information is available on 911promise.org. Lastly, I want to address Hurricane Ida. looking at the pictures and whatnot of the devastation throughout our state, and knowing that more or less we made it out unscathed, especially in comparison, I want to thank all the people that were involved for the last 10 years since Hurricane Irene. I was personally affected by that. We had 4 feet on my ground floor. A lot of you probably seen the pictures or were there and to help me 10 years ago. This time, my house, not even close, nothing. I helped my dad out. He got some groundwater in his basement, but again, in comparison to what it was 10 years ago, the work, the money that the council put forward and the work by the Flood Advisory Board and all those involved, I thank you. I am aware that other municipalities have since formed flood advisory boards in the wake of Ida. So it's good that we're leading the way, and hopefully they'll be reaching out to see what we've been doing right, and we can help guide them. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to be involved with the run. Thank you. I just to talk about Ida a little bit, just because, and our OEM director's here too. He might bring it up. You know, I got contacted from national news sites thinking Pompton Lakes, they always flood. We'll call them first. And I would have to tell them, unfortunately, fortunately for us, unfortunately for you, there is no story here. We don't have an issue. We don't have flooding. And it caught some of those people who do this for a while off guard. They're saying, how could everybody around you have so much flooding and you guys really got away with this? It has a lot to do for the last 10 years now. Let's talk about that. The last 10 years, with the help of the administration and the council, we've been working on those rivers. Now, you know, we know at the end of the day, if a catastrophe happens, we can't fix that. But these storms that we just had, this storm 10 years ago, most of our town would have been underwater. There's no question in my mind, most of our south end would have been underwater. We had a couple houses, maybe 3, that really that had to be rescued from their homes. In the older days, we would have had 50 to 100 homes. We would have had all our firemen out, all our OEM and CERT people out. It was a big change. It was a big deal. And my heart goes out to these other communities, like Councilman Bennett said, about what's going on. But they are reaching out to me. Slowly, some of these mayors are calling me and saying, hey, maybe we should look into what you're doing. And I've gotten the Congresswoman involved in trying to incorporate us all together to try to get one permit for all of us to work on, instead of every town trying to ask for a permit that's very difficult to get from the DEP. If we could start pushing that agenda a little bit, again, all the communities could clean it up. We clean it all the way up to the bay. The water runs into the bay. We're kind of doing well. So that's the goal at this whole thing. The big one we have to get on is Patterson. Patterson seems to be a little resistant to doing some things, and you know, they have a big community with a lot of people, and there's a lot of water flowing through there. So you know, I'm glad to see a lot of communities jumping on board with this. It's important. Professional reports.
No report, Mayor.
Do you want to add anything about the liaisonship? Nothing, right? Trail maintenance.
No, I think you
Okay.
covered it all. It will be introduced at the next meeting for a first reading.
Okay. Administrator's report.
Just a couple things. It's September, so it's back to budget time again. So I sent out the annual budget request notice. They'll be due back on November 19th. Hard to believe we're doing budget already again, but it comes around quick. Our American Recovery Plan program is going well. Applications are due and in no later than this Friday. Right now, we have about 20 applications. We're hoping to get 30 in. I have spoken to some of the businesses in town, and some of the concerns is why we might have a bigger application pool is they don't really want to disclose some information that's required as part of the the business annual income and so forth. As I explained to them, I said, this is almost a free $5,000, up to $5,000 grant. We have to have some type of documentation when the federal government comes and knocks on our door and says, how'd you give away $300,000? This can't say because we were really nice and we had good kind heart. It doesn't work that way. So that's kind of where we're at. But if we get 10% of the 30% rather of the total bid group, that's a good number.
So let me just jump in there just to explain to what you're talking. Some people might not understand. We got some federal money from the federal act bill we decided to take some of that money and put it towards our businesses with a grant. You just have to apply, you have to have a business in town, and you have to apply for the grant from us through an outside source that we've hired. And like Kevin was saying, you know, it's pretty much a guaranteed money of some sort to you as a business that you do not have to pay back. As long as you give us the proper channels to check it, you'll get this money. Right now, we only have 20 businesses that signed up for it. To me, that's crazy, where they could be getting free money. So if anybody knows, anybody in town that has a business that hasn't applied, they have till Friday, is that correct?
Friday.
Friday to apply for this grant. Once that Friday passes, we start figuring out how to divvy it out. So if you know anybody interested that was looking to have a business, and they don't have to show a loss, they don't have to show anything. They just have to show the numbers that they're in business and some financial information, but that's really it. So to me, it's shocking that we don't have more businesses involved.
I don't think people know.
No, we've gone door to door to every business.
You have?
We have.
So how do they do that? Explain, I mean, how do they apply?
So there's a form you fill out, but if there's any confusion, they can call Borough Hall.
Well, we've done email notifications. Mike Corelli in our social media, he has a big social media. He did a mail blast out. We've done, as the mayor said, the bid themselves. Our Kafka, Valpo's gone to people with paper copies. We've tried to, and so if you saw my report, it's a nice little graphic as to you know, the program. And again, I understand people are concerned. I guess they're afraid that, you know, big government's going to be looking at them. But my point is that that's not the case. We need some paperwork. We need some documentation that goes in the file. So God forbid the feds come looking down the road, we have a paper trail that makes some sense. The company that has run this program from us ran for the county of Passaic. And they've already told me that we probably have been more lenient in terms of requesting documentation than other towns in Union County who've done these programs in the past. So again, we're going to get no batch of money next year. There's always an opportunity to do this again. And if not, whatever's left over, the borough can spend on items that would be considered the same as CARES items from the last grant to utilize the money that's left over. And again, on top of that, $200,000 of this money's already gone into surplus. So we've taken care of our financial house, we're trying to help businesses take care of their financial house. So again, it is what it is, but hopefully we'll get the number up between now and into Friday and see where we go.
So if you know anybody and they're concerned about it or don't understand how to do it or confused, they can contact myself, they can contact Kevin, they can contact the bid. Any of those three groups will help them. Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Just to let you know that next year our police department will be taking a sergeant's exam. Again, like lieutenant, this captain's exam, these things are all on a rolling basis for civil service. And we always accept the exam because you never know when things will change. You have then a pool of officers in each of the categories available for promotion. So this is a standard civil service promotional exam that will be given in February of 2022. And my discussion on DuPont Bridge was had when Randy was up here before, so I have no report.
And we're trying to get everybody out of here. That's why we're not turning the air conditioning on. So I guess it's not working, is my guess, right?
Well, more than likely, you know, the building got hit again. I can't tell you how many times this system has got hit by lightning over years I've been here, and it fries the capacitors out. So more than likely, these last couple storms, something hit the building, and
it was working.
We do have antennas. We do have things that will draw lightning. So I'm sure Al's shaking his head. So that could have happened, and nobody's in the building. Nobody's here that often any longer. So turn on once in a while, and all of a sudden he doesn't have a problem.
All right, before we get to the open session, I just want to thank Liz and Sharon Sonny. And it was a lot of work to get all these mayor's pictures, especially the older ones, to find them. Luckily, we had them in the safe, some of them. And so if you look, we can't, I think was one missing. Is that correct, Liz? Right?
Yes.
One missing. But it's interesting to look at the names on those pictures to see where a lot of the names of the streets and things came from in town. You'll see them up there for owning property and stuff. So I thought it was a great addition. It looks really nice. And thank everybody for the hard work with that.
Will there be a Sarah Road? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Council President Devine, Councilwoman Palladori. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just a question for Mr. Boyle on his report there. February 2nd, 2022, police promotional exams. Now, we're definitely not against anybody getting a promotion, but is there a set amount of lieutenants and sergeants and captains that we have in our force?
Organization already outlines the hierarchy, chief, the captain, lieutenant, so that's all done. What this provides a pool of applicants going forward for a 3-year period. It's what happens after 3 years, these exams, civil service exams, lapse. So you may have a guy who's on a sergeant's exam 3 years, there's no promotions, he has to take it again if he wants to be in line for the next opportunity.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you get lucky, you get promoted, and sometimes you don't. But it provides a pool with all those different levels of.
And let me add to that, when they take these classes, there's classes, because these tests are not easy. They spend 6 months in a class on their off time training this, and things change. You never know how things can change in a police office.
Sure.
So if somebody was to leave a position and they didn't take the test already, it's like they can't just step up and go take the test at that point.
Then there would be a list where somebody would move on up.
Right, so they're on a list now that kind of pushes them in if somebody was to change. We have no intent of adding more of anybody, you know.
We don't need all chiefs and no Indians.
Correct.
Townwide garage sale, is there a registration for the yard?
No.
It's just people ride around and who's ever got a sale?
Set up, we used to do a map, I don't think we do that anymore, right?
No, someone did something
Yeah.
on,
I think somebody from the Friends of the Library is, it has an online Google map. I would check one of the community Facebook pages, because I think he posted the link there if anybody's interested in adding their property to that list.
Just uninformal, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it on their own accord.
Right.
It's not like anything that the borough sponsors.
Oh, so there's nobody to contact if you're gonna have a garage sale?
Correct.
To get your name on that list?
There is no list from
no.
us.
No, because it was on every street every year, so there's no sense in it was a lot of time and energy to.
Yeah,
get all
so
those
I mean, I
phone-
think people just drive around, you don't
They
need a
just
permit,
drive around.
usually there's a fee, a $10 fee for a license, you don't need that, so that's why we do this. for-
Yeah, but I thought there was a map in the past, but you're not
Years
doing
ago,
that.
yeah, we haven't had it.
How does the Friends of the Library map work? Randy can upload his own address? He can.
Yes.
I don't know, that's not my thing.
Yes. You can put your address on there, that just came out today, though,
Yeah, yeah, that's.
that I was.
It's
aware.
private, so we really can't say too much about it.
Councilwoman Reichert's report talked about the vaccine. The nurse will be given vaccine. Are they gonna be giving the vaccines to the seniors?
So, Council President DeWine just showed me that it is 65 and older, does fall into that category. But remember, it's only a Pfizer at this point. You can't.
No, that's for the COVID vaccine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What about the flu
Yeah,
vaccine?
I was talking,
Oh, flu,
Mike,
yes.
I addressed the flu vaccine. Is that
vaccine,
what the
she
question
talked
is about?
Yes,
She plans to.
yes, you can get the flu vaccine here. I think there's a cost, right?
Well, it depends.
If you have for insurance.
If they are on Medicare, then it's different.
Right,
it
so there's different ways
depends.
depending on what
But she
insurance
plans,
they're on.
they're scheduling all to go to the fire department and to the seniors.
Right,
The
they
nurse
usually
be
will go to
doing
the
that.
seniors at some.
Yeah, they do every year. That's what my question.
I'm in schedule, Jack.
Huh?
I'm in the schedule.
Okay. Speaking of the seniors, you forgot to announce that you joined the seniors?
I did forget them, I don't like to
Yeah.
announce that.
We like to announce.
I don't see how I
that
fit
the
into
mayor
that senior category, but
joined
all
the
right, I'll
golden
have
age.
to announce that.
Yes.
I did enjoy my time at the senior, I went to the senior meeting.
You went to the senior meeting on October 2nd, the day after this meeting,
Correct.
and
I promised I would, and I.
and you did, and the seniors are very happy that you showed up, and they had a few questions, and you set the agenda straight as to what was going on. But the next senior meeting you missed.
I can't make I'm old, I can't get out.
And our liaison missed both meetings.
Okay, well,
That's right.
liaisons might be
I
changing soon,
spoke
so
with people at
we'll see how that goes.
Come on, we need a liaison to show up. Speaking of liaisons, we had our shade tree meeting, and we held it up 20 minutes, and for our liaison, and he didn't show. We had to call him, and he said he couldn't make the meeting.
Okay, let me say this. A
But it would have
liaison-
been nice if he had called us ahead of time.
No, that's not
Yeah,
how.
no, that's how it does work.
No.
It's called common decency and respect.
Okay, but I'm saying the rules of governing body here, They don't have to make it, there was no rule that says they have to make every meeting.
No?
There's no rules that says they have to call the department if they're not going to make the meeting.
Oh, really?
Correct. It fits in their schedule. We have lives and things are going on, so
Well,
it's
yeah.
not like you're gonna make every meeting. Now, saying that, I'm not gonna say if you miss every meeting, that's a concern. But if they miss a meeting or they're not there telling people they're there, and I've been involved 10 years, I've never called a committee and said, oh, I'm not gonna be there this meeting. Unless they've asked, who's coming?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, those new cell phones that we have do an email, a text, and a phone call. Come on, one of them you could at least give
I'm
a
sure
call
you,
and say, I
I'm
can't
sure
make
you
it.
guys move forward fine without your liaison.
Speaking of the Shade Tree Commission meeting, we did have 2 residents come in. One was about the root situation on Magnolia. We're trying to rectify that.
Trying to rectify that.
And the other woman had a very bad problem with spotted lanternfly that I've been talking about.
Sure.
And she's over in the DuPont Village area. And is there any kind of plan? I talked to Dan O'Rourke, or possibly any other towns doing anything. This is gonna be
I haven't
a
heard
very
anything,
big problem.
and I've golfed in 2 outings in the last 3 days, and I can tell you one of them was up near Sparta. Every hole, there was 5 or 6 of them on every hole. So they're out there. I've seen them. There's a lot of them. I haven't seen any talk about group spraying. I don't think the county has said anything. We can reach out to the county and ask them, but I haven't heard anything.
I went by the home in the DuPont Village area. I won't give the address, it's personal to them. But we're gonna have to work together. She must have got somebody in to spray it. I knocked on the door, she wasn't home. And this is where neighbor is gonna have to work with neighbor, because the spotted lanternfly does not care about neighbors. They go from yard to yard. So you're gonna have to find the egg clusters for following spring and remove them. If you can, we're trying to come up with an ideas of a shop vac maybe in the early morning, be it's a cold-blooded insect. They're very lethargic in the morning when it's cold, and vacuum them in the adults before they lay the egg.
You know what would help? I'm gonna say this, and we could publicize it for the town. If you could get a picture of what this egg sac looks like, so people can look for them on their properties.
I provided it for the Pumpton Day, and it was at a booth that you had there.
All right, so if you have something that we could get, maybe put on 77 or something, we'll put it up there, because I'll be honest, I don't even know what they look like, and I'd like to see it.
The egg sacs are similar to gypsy moths.
So they're like that mossy.
Yeah, they're that little brown.
All right, so I mean,
you want to try to eliminate the adults before they lay the egg.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, and I think a vacuum, a shop vac is a good idea, actually.
Right. So we just got to work with the administrator and the council and the DPW superintendent as to what we're going to do. If it's on a private homeowner, but when it gets into our parks, now we're going to have a big problem.
Well, I will have to do some more research. My guess is at this moment, most towns and counties are not doing anything when they're on their property.
Well, on private property, you're not going to do
No,
anything.
on
The
town
town's not
property.
gonna do it.
On town property.
But I mean, this woman was appealing to us at the Shade Tree Commission. What am I supposed to do? Well, she was asking us, the town commission, for instructions. And we're just winging it as best as everybody.
Well, let's take a park like Goffel Park. Like to date, I have not heard that Goffel Park will be doing any kind of notice, treatment, or anything about their park because of this. So.
Well, I'm just trying to be preventative in the future. There's going to be a problem, we have to think about it. God bless Rick Steele. I knew him well. He was a liaison to the Shade Tree. Where's the sign going?
On, what was the name of the street?
Hilltop.
Hilltop. That's where he lives on Hilltop. His family's from Hilltop.
Oh, he did live there at one point?
His family's still there.
Oh, I was wondering why. Because
Well,
I
they
knew-
just moved, I think.
Because he moved over onto Summit Avenue area.
No,
right?
his kids, his family, everybody that was here tonight grew up in a house on Hilltop.
And Hilltop.
Yeah.
He was on Summer Ridge.
Huh?
He was on Summer Ridge.
Okay. Let's see, what did I miss? No, I definitely missed something. You talk about the trail committee. Did we come up with a maintenance for the Morris Canal Greenway Trail? You were talking about possibly the county maintaining that? Who's maintaining that?
Not us.
Still the Trails Committee.
Yeah, it's
Still the
included
trail
in the
committee?
ordinance.
Yes.
That's part of the
Because-
deal when we set that up.
That heavy rain we had on Mathis Avenue it's a real mess on the Greenway Trail at the beginning. I don't know if DPW is gonna clean that,
They
or
will
the
not,
trail
no.
committee, or,
Under the agreement, Trails Maintenance will be doing the bulk of the work.
you guys are putting a lot on the trail committee.
That's why it was set up that way.
God bless them for the work that they do. I gotta say that. Councilwoman Polidari's report from the MUA. Did they find out if there was a backflow preventer on the well at the, I was unable
They
to
were
make the
told
MUA.
yes. They were told there was, and when they went in to get the inspection reports, the owner was unavailable, so they are waiting for that information to be provided.
Okay. I know John Wedley be right on top of it. He's a good guy. I just noticed lastly that the lights at the Lakeside Park are still not working. Is somebody working on that?
I gave the numbers to our Jersey Central Power and Light Rescue. He said it's consistent and they're going to get to it.
Also, the light in Moran Park is out also. You know it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Big, Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor? Anybody?
Mayor,
Okay.
I apologize, I just want to go over just a couple more things on from the Director of Recreation on who caught what fish.
Okay.
Okay. The raffles, there were 911 raffle tickets sold, and that brought in $3,555 after the Visa card purchase. So that was very successful. And we had first, second, and third place winners. The first place, I think it was $600 Visa for Pat Totery in Wayne. We had a $300 Visa from Alex Jascott from
Who
Clifton.
bought the ticket right before we picked it?
That's what I heard, yeah, how lucky. And then a $200 Visa gift card for Peggy Valentine. We had 25 children sign up for the fishing derby. The first place was Michael Nick. He got 12.5-inch fish, I don't know what kind. Second place was Dominic Elephant, 12-inch, and the third place was Bella Eisler at 10.5 inches. The 5K run, there were 209 signups and 188 runners at the race. So I just want to update that. And just remember, the Halloween hunt at Hirschfield Park will be on Sunday, October 24th, rain date the 25th. And don't forget to bring the flashlight. We'll have more information on that. And we're even talking about already Breakfast with Santa on December 11th. Put that on your calendar. There will only be 2 seatings at the Elks, 8:30 and 10:30. So we'll follow up on that as well. Men's Basketball League will be running on Tuesday and Friday nights from 7 to 10 at the Lincoln Gym, $50 registration. So just wanted to update you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Privilege of the floor? The last thing I'll end with, if you've driven by the old garage, the county garage, they started doing work on the senior housing complex they're going to build there. They started, today was their first day. It's exciting to see. They're going to redo that whole area. And if you're driving over on Ringwood Avenue, they've been replacing all the crosswalks with the handicap accessible, so it's been slowing down the traffic a little bit over there. At the end of the day, we should have a nice new handicap accessible road all the way down on there. Okay, can I have anybody else?
Are they gonna move the salt barn?
We're in discussion right now what's going to happen with that. We haven't got a real decision yet. It might
It's
make it
going to remain
smaller.
Bill, but we're going to try to design around it and move this way here. It's going to remain here.
I suspect they're gonna move it.
Well, we're going to make it smaller, I hope. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Councilman Benning, Council President DeWine, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Liz, can I give you these pledges?
Hey, good night, everyone.
Good.